Halloween Horror Nights 2022 in Hollywood is here. I was at the opening night for press night and, of course, the opening night for the general public last night, September 8th, in Hollywood at Universal Studios Hollywood. And it was absolutely fantastic. It was bigger, better than ever. And the 2021 edition was great, but it was a little smaller because of the pandemic issues and stuff like that. 2022 has none of those issues. It has 9 mazes or houses, plus the Terror Tram, plus scare zones, plus other attractions are open. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's go through the houses plus the Terror Tram for this review of Halloween Horror Nights 2022. So starting off, we'll just show off some of the merch that they had. I bought this t-shirt and the sweatshirt that I got here. So we've got the Halloween Horror Nights official t-shirt with the logo there, and then the logo on the sleeve. This one is blacklight activated, so if you want to wear this and buy it and go again, it'll show up on blacklight, but this is very cool. This logo is absolutely fantastic. It shows off all the mazes and everything. Very happy to have that. And then, of course, we have the hoodie that they're selling as well. And this one is just as awesome and sort of simplistic, but we've got the hoodie with the logo in red there, and then we've got the back here with all the mazes and everything on it with Michael Myers and the Grabber and the Killer Clowns and everything. This is fantastic. And then, of course, we have the, the press badge that I got yesterday going with the press corps. But it was amazing. And let's run through all of the mazes plus the Terror Tram here. So starting off at number 9, this is in order from my least favorite to my favorite. All of these were great, so like putting this at number 9 doesn't mean that this is a terrible maze or house. It just means it wasn't one of my favorites out of all of the ones that we had. You can read more about it in my written review on that#show.com. But first off, we've got Scarecrow, the Reaping, and so you can see some of my footage right here from the mazes or the houses. So Scarecrow, the Reaping is on the lower lot in the area where Haunting of Hill House was last year. It's kind of a trek to get down there. I thought it was going to be shorter, and I was like, oh no, it'll be fine. And so we went down, and it's actually a little bit longer if you're walking. It was disgustingly hot last night. Hopefully it won't be as hot ever for Halloween Horror Nights, but it was about 85 degrees or between 85 and 86 degrees at night. So some of the houses did get very hot. I feel for the scare actors, but Scarecrow the Reaping is one of the original stories that they were telling here at Halloween Horror Nights, and this one has really, really great effects in it. It has really great physical effects. So you're walking through and the cloth barriers or the plastic barriers that you have to push through to get to each hallway or room start turning into different things. They start turning into corn stalks. There's meat that's hanging from everywhere. There's scarecrows popping out. There's even a section where it's pitch black and you're walking through and there's these little threads that are coming down that feel exactly like spider webs. It's pretty crazy to think and to feel. It feels exactly like spider webs. There's smells pumped in. It smells like an old wooden house. It's great. But this one gets put on number 9 because there really isn't a story here to tell. So it's very good physically from that immersion standpoint of getting in and being scared and everything. And the scare actors are doing a really good job. And the makeup is really good. And the environment and the effects are amazing. But the story doesn't really hit the mark. There isn't really a story. It's just like, oh, it's a scary scarecrow that's killing people. But outside of that, this is a great one. I would probably start off with this one and then Halloween, which is later on in the list, that comes on the lower lot, just so you can get it out of the way, so you don't need to walk there again. But Scarecrow the Reaping, very good start for the list, but it does end up as the, quote-unquote worst of Halloween Horror Nights 2022 at Hollywood. At number 8, we have the Universal Horror Hotel. This is another one of the original ones. I was really, really excited for this one to see what they would do for this like sort of 1920s hotel theme, and then it was a little let down that the theme doesn't really fit very well because it is a horror hotel, like an original Universal quote-unquote hotel from when Universal Studios first opened back at the the dawn of cinema, but it's a contemporary setting. So it's this hotel owner comes back as a serial killer and starts killing the guests at this hotel where people are staying. And so you have people that are in, more contemporary clothing, more contemporary shoes. And so it's scary. The character is really cool that they designed as the serial killer sort of owner. But I think it would have been better if it was just the full-on 1920s theme with everything going on. But this one, you get it has a better story than Scarecrow the Reaping. you get the story in the queue, and you get this whole video package and everything. The queue is really cool. This one is where the Walking Dead attraction usually is, and thank God they didn't do the Walking Dead this year, because they've done it every year, and I think that one's running its course with how much they can get out of it. Sure, zombies are cool and everything, but like, there's a Walking Dead attraction every year at Universal Halloween Horror Nights, so that's pretty good that they put it in there. If it's really hot when you went, this one, go do this one and just sit in the queue, because it's the one of the ones with the AC on, and they were cranking it last night. But the Halloween Horror Nights, the Universal Horror Hotel, God, that's a mouthful, is a pretty good house, and it goes through a pretty good story. And there's a really, really, really cool effect right away that sort of looks like it's like the Shining bathroom, but there's an animatronic right there, right when you walk in, so don't miss that one. This one will scare you, but it's still a little lower on the list. Number 7, this might be a little upset, because we have at number 7 the Killer Klowns from Outer Space. This is a redo from 2019, and I think they put it on there because maybe it's because they were hearing me. At the 2019 edition of Halloween Horror Nights, I didn't get to go through the Killer Klowns maze, but this is basically a strict redo of that one, where it goes through the whole movie, you evolve all the music, it's pumping in cotton candy sound. I will say that the scare actors in the Killer Klowns maze were the best of the bunch throughout the whole show. They were, the one with the little straw where he's sucking out the blood from the cotton candy sack. He was offering it to people. They pumped in cotton candy sound. They had a scare actor that was doing the bunny effect and then turning it into a dinosaur. It was very, very cool. There's some cool effects here. When you hear the Killer Klowns march, your blood starts pumping. This one is really awesome from just a set design standpoint, but it is a redo, so if you've seen this one, you're going to see it again. And I went through all these mazes twice. I went through once with the camera crew, and then I went through once afterward. But this one, for some of the spots where there were scare actors, the second time I went through, they weren't there. So where there was the person doing the bunny, they weren't there. So it kind of diminishes the effect and diminishes the immersion of the whole thing, where you're seeing the effect on the wall, but you're not seeing the killer clown doing it. Outside of that, if you love Killer Klowns, the movie, this is a must-see, because it goes through the whole movie. And some real highlights are definitely the section where the police, I don't know if he's the chief in the movie, but the police officer gets, turned into a puppet and is puppeting. The actor for that one was really good as well. So Killer Klowns is great, but it is a redo, so you're not seeing something really new here with this one. Number 6, we have the Terror Tram. I didn't get very much footage of the Terror Tram because I was walking around, and you're really walking around this environment, but this one is based on Us and Nope. You do get to walk through the Jupiter's Claim set from Nope, and let me tell you, that section of the attraction is really worth the whole thing, because the first section is an original story that they thought up for the Terror Tram about Hollywood Harry, who was a clown that had a show, a TV show on early Universal, and went crazy, disappeared, but in 2016, he started showing up on the set of the Terror Tram, and then kidnapped 2 Universal tour guides and murdered them, and then now is back to run his show again. And so the first section with the Bates Motel set, the scare actors are all having a fantastic time. They're all going crazy, running around, trying to murder each other and everything. But if you've seen it once, you've seen that section plenty of times. It's just sort of the scenes are interchanged, but that section really isn't, the price of admission here. What it is to get to the Nope set, where they fantastically blend the stories of Us and Nope, where obviously you're not going to have a gigantic space alien flying around sucking people up like in Nope, but you have the characters from Us going around basically murdering the employees of Jupiter's Claim. That section is fantastic. The actors in that one were great. If you don't normally go on the Terror Tram, you have to this year just for that, just to do that. And then you get to ride around a little bit. The tram has a bit of AC. You can get the wind blowing by you if it's a hot night. But the Terror Tram is great, and it's a fun time to walk through. And you get to go take your picture with Norman Bates if you'd like to. That's always fun as well. Number 5, we have La Llorona coming in. La Llorona, the Weeping Woman. You might think, oh, but there is a movie based on that. This is not based on the movie. This is an original story. So this is the last of the original sort of non-IP mazes that they have. But this one is the scariest one out of all of them. This one has the best scares, the best sort of angles of attack from the scare actors that you get at here. And just the set design and everything is great as well. There's a section where you're walking through on a bridge where you're supposed to be on water, where there's dead bodies floating in the water. And it's just really well designed, and the actors are great here. The makeup effects, wow. Especially on the titular character here, the various scare actors throughout that are playing her are great. It looks amazing. She's in her white sort of stained dress and her gray face and her long black hair. Fantastic, top-notch stuff from the scare actors here. And then you also have some really good like creature effects almost, where there's big animatronics. I won't delve into spoilers for them. You might see a bit into the video, but the effects that they're using here are great. They're really unsettling, really terrifying. And there is a section with a sort of somebody on stilts that'll take you by surprise, so look out for that. But this one, really good. Just a really, really scary house for the whole thing. And the line is usually pretty short. These original ones don't get as much attention as the IP ones for whatever reason. People are going to horror nights and want to see Halloween and all of those. Don't forget about these ones, because the original ones do end up, I think, sticking with you much longer after, and they put a lot of effort into scaring the crap out of you in these ones so that you remember them. If you don't like Scarecrow or the Hollywood Hotel or La Llorona, even go through them, because they are still very scary and you will see your friends scream. And that's worth the price of admission to Halloween Horror Nights alone. But La Llorona, I can't say that. I'm pronouncing it differently every time, is great. Go through it and then learn how to pronounce the word. Number 4, we have a bit of an upset. Last year's Halloween Horror Nights had what I think is the greatest house that they've ever done in Bride of Frankenstein Returns or Bride of Frankenstein Lives. That one was absolutely great. It was the best from the makeup, the story, the scares, the set design, everything that went into that house was absolutely perfect. The music by Slash, all great. Now you have this, every year that they do these Universal horror monsters, something with those characters. This one you have the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy together in a house that is sort of loosely covered in this story about an amulet. You'll see the characters holding it throughout the maze, but it's pretty thin. Whereas some of the past ones, you had, I think 2019 was the Wolfman versus Frankenstein, I think, and that one was terrifying and also had a pretty damn good story to boot. This one, the story is a little bit looser. You have basically sections with each of the main 3 characters, and then they all come together at the end, which is absolutely awesome, worth going through the whole thing by themselves, because there is a nice sort of bam, bam, bam scare where you will get definitely scared going through it. But this one, to say it was a disappointment makes it sound like it's bad. It's not bad, but when you compare it to previous Universal Monsters houses that they've done, it's lesser. It's a lesser of those ones, but this one is still very much worth it to go through. It's on the lower lot right when you get down the escalators, so check it out after you hit the Weeknd or the Killer Klowns houses. But this one is great still. I love the Universal Monsters. They deserve... I think they should do more than one for them each year. There's so many different characters they could do that they could include and incorporate. Like the Invisible Man would be a cool one to do. But let's get some more of those. How about that, Horror Nights? Number 3... we have one of the IP-based mazes, and then we have Halloween from the original movie from 1978. And this one, I was thinking would be the main event of the whole thing, and I was surprised by just the excellent quality of the top 2 on this list. But Halloween is very, very good. It's very scary. It's on the lower lot where Pandora's Box was last year, and you get the whole facade of the Myers house, and it goes through the whole movie. You get the kills. The scare actors here, particularly the one playing Laurie Strode in mine, looked exactly like Jamie Lee Curtis. It was freaky. It was crazy. But you go through the whole movie. You get plenty of scares. This one had one of the most inventive scares I've seen in a Universal maze with... basically, you're walking forward. So in this one, there's a lot of stationary Michael Myerses that light up with the sound cues from the movie. And it lulls you into a false sense of security where you're walking up and you're going, haha, that's a statue, whatever. And then the statue busts through a window and tries grabbing you. You will get the crap scared out of you at that point. So look out for that scare in this one. But then there's also some great ones. The Dr. Loomis looks awesome in this. There's a lot of Michaels that are great. There's when it gets to the sort of the closet chase sort of section, there's a great Michael Myers scare there. And then at the end, they did reuse a section from Halloween 4's maze last year that I'm glad that they did, because it's terrifying. So look out for that one. I won't spoil it for anybody, but Halloween is very much worth the wait. It would be the main event without these top two, but it's still very good and will definitely scare you. Number two, we have a very, very pleasant surprise. I was very apprehensive when they announced that The Weeknd would be getting his own house at Halloween Horror Nights because, you know, I'm not a very big fan of The Weeknd. I don't hate his music or anything. I just haven't listened to it. I haven't seen his music videos. You know, I love heavy metal, so I just like the kind of sort of rappy pop stuff. I don't know. I can't really get into it. But this one was excellent. It was excellent. It goes through, I think it goes through the story of his music video, or it continues after that, where he has sort of the plastic surgery bandages all over his face and he's sort of disfigured. And this one goes through a pretty awesome story where he murders somebody. That person, somebody comes back, murders him. There's monsters and aliens. He turns into a lizard. There's a train car. It's a lot, but the effects in this one, you could tell they put a lot of love into this house because it is through and through great from start to finish. It's long too. It's about 4 minutes of you going through. Hopefully they don't herd you through pretty faster than they did for us, but this one is great. The Weeknd After Hours Nightmare, there's a lot of physical effects, like when he slashes somebody's throat, they spit water at you. It's great. They don't actually spit it, but they shoot water from like a little something or other, but don't worry, you're not getting spat at. But the effects, everything is great. It just looks like one of his music videos, and you're going through, and it's very dreamy or nightmarish almost, and the whole thing, you're hearing his songs playing throughout, so each sort of section has more of his songs, and it made me into a fan. Even if I don't like his music, the dude put a lot of effort into this, or if he was on, you know, consulting them on this, it's very inventive. It feels like a horror movie or a music video come to life. And what more would you want out of a house like that? If you're a fan of The Weeknd, this is a dream come true. Go to Horror Nights just for this because it's awesome. I might go to this one first if you don't feel like going to the lower lot, just because the lines for this one were very, very, very long. On opening night, the longest line got to about, I think, 80 minutes, and that was for this one. And that was right at the start, but the line sort of died down more often. I went on a Thursday. I don't know about a Friday night or a Saturday night. But they are open on Sundays, too. Maybe the lines will, you know, differ on Thursdays or Sundays. But Friday and Saturday night, I might hit this one first because the line is going to be very long. It's indoors, so it's not as hot, but it, you know, you're hearing his music the entire time. It's sort of this sensory overload, and it's just absolutely great. I really like The Weeknd After Hours Nightmare. Finally, at number one, basically tied with The Weeknd After Hours Nightmare, we have The Horrors of Blumhouse, and this one is in the Waterworld queue. It's in like the mechanic station or whatever, but it goes through the plot of Freaky, and it goes through the Black Phone, and so you get basically what amounts to 2 whole houses in one. And this is a long one, folks. This one's like 5 minutes going through each of them. You go through the plot of Freaky, where you have the butcher and Millie swapping bodies. It's like Freaky Friday, except Friday the 13th. Great, great premise for a movie. If you haven't seen Freaky, go see it. What are you doing? Like, Freaky is awesome, but the effects in this one were great. There's a scene where, you know, the butcher shoves a wine bottle in someone's mouth and disfigures them. That shoots water at you. There's a scene where Millie is cutting the woodshop teacher in half. That's great. There's a fight between Millie and the butcher as they have, you know, swapped bodies. That's great. There's tons of bodies everywhere. This one is just, it follows the plot of the movie, and it gives you a story. And that's really about these houses that makes them great, is that it's basically like each one is a horror movie production in an enclosed space. So you have an entire horror movie's worth of effects and characters and creatures and everything packed into 2 to 5 minutes of you walking through it. It's absolutely fantastic. And then you get to the Black Phone. You're like, wow, that was really cool. I got through Freaky. What's next? You get to the Black Phone section, and the grabber immediately pops out and is screaming at you, hang up the phone! And it's like, wow. I don't know how they did this. The Blumhouse one was absolutely fantastic. It goes through the whole plot. Well, it goes through like the second half of the Black Phone, because the first half of the Black Phone is more, you know, cerebral and stuff like that. Go see the Black Phone too if you haven't seen it. It's fantastic. But this one had some great scares. The grabber's coming out of everywhere. There's a dog, and you're scared. You're on your toes at all times during this house, and it's very long. It's very satisfying, and just the whole thing is fantastic. It's the best one of the year at Halloween Horror Nights, but that's not to say that the rest of these were all great. Go through all of them if you can. Get a pass. Go back. Go through them multiple times because you're going to miss stuff and you might miss effects. Like going through where we had the cameras, I was missing things. And then going through the second time, there was stuff that I didn't notice that I noticed again. And there's so much detail put into these houses by the team at Halloween Horror Nights, and it's just well worth your time to go through and go through again. Go with your friends, go with your family, because it's just a great Halloween spirit, Halloween season time to do, and it's awesome. If it's not as hot, it was devilishly hot last night, but if it's not as hot, make sure to bring shorts to get extra water or something like that. All the rides are open as well, so if you're a Harry Potter fan, the Harry Potter land was a little empty last year. This year, it is populated with Death Eaters. There's even like a little mini Death Eater scare zone, so make sure to check that out too. The scare zones are all there. They're pretty good. The actors are walking around. They're pretty populated. There's a bunch of different food options. There's a weekend after-hours bar that you can go to. Just everything about Halloween Horror Nights this year is absolutely just cool and scary. And it's the perfect place to go if you're a horror hound out there. And make sure to get a pass, or if you want to, I will recommend, if you want to put up the extra money to get the front of the line, the Universal passes, or even the RIP Scare Tour, where a Universal employee leads you through to the mazes and you can ask questions and everything. That's a very cool experience. But are you going to Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood? Are you going to Orlando? Have you never been to Horror Nights? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, because it really helps me out to grow the channel here. And when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will be giving away stuff. If you like horror movies, we'll be giving away the Halloween, the complete collection here. We'll be giving away the Thing figure from San Diego Comic-Con 2022, the NECA figure. We'll be giving away the standard version of the Arrow video release of the Thing. But that'll do it for Halloween Horror Nights 2022. Thank you for watching, and stay scared, folks.